Hello! Welcome to my channel and enjoy the video. So today I am back drawing another Harry Potter character, and that character is my boy Ron Weasley. This one has been a long time coming because, as I mentioned in my video where I drew Fred and George, Ron was my original favorite character. Basically, he was the character that I first was like, yes, I really like this character. But unfortunately for Ron, he did not stay my favorite character because the twins up and stole that from him. But I mean, in Ron's defense, can he really compete with characters that have pretty much made it to my top 10 favorite characters of all time list, which is an accomplishment in of itself. Nevertheless, I still love him and he's still my second favorite Harry Potter character, despite the fact that the movies kind of did him dirty. For some reason, they skimped out on his character development and positive traits and just kind of made him the comedy relief character, which isn't a bad thing to be the comedy relief character, but they did take it too far to the point where he didn't get proper character development because of it. And if you're confused of what I mean, take for example the character Sokka from Avatar: The Last Airbender. He's a comedy relief character, but he also has a lot of great character building moments. Another thing they did with Ron was that they made him kind of jerky for no reason sometimes. It was almost like he was just being moody. In reality, I do believe it was just the fact that basically he's always felt like he's living in the shadow of his best friend, and then he'd get tired of it and lash out, which is understandable, obviously not right, but I mean, Harry did get a lot of things pretty much handed to him. That doesn't mean that he had a perfect life, because obviously he didn't, we can all see that, but he did have things like getting gifted new brooms and that sort of thing, and coming from the perspective of Ron, who probably not only lived in his own brother's shadows, but also never really got anything new because everything was a hand-me-down. So it does make sense of why Ron would feel that way, but the way they play it out in the movies does kind of come across as him just being a jerk. Despite these flaws in the writing, I do think that Ron does come across as being the kind of character that he was meant to be. At least for me. And that's why he is still a favorite. But at least there are still some good scenes of Ron. Like, I believe it's the first movie when he plays the chess game and sacrifices himself, which is one of his best moments, and it's seriously in like the first film. But despite him being my second fave, I ended up drawing Draco before him because I couldn't think of like what pose he should have. So I put one hand in his pocket since that seemed to be something that he'd do a lot. And I could have just done both hands in the pockets, but I felt like that would have been too boring, so I had him hold his wand like every other character has been. But even though I didn't know what I was going to do for this picture, I actually quite liked the way it turned out, for the most part. I really liked the way I did his eye shape. I was looking at the shape of his eyes, and I was thinking of kind of how I should draw them. And this shape is basically what they looked like, and so that's what I did, and I actually really like this eye shape, and I will definitely try and use it in the future. But one other thing I wasn't sure on was his hairstyle. I have had this with like every character because throughout all 8 movies, everyone's hair changes, because, I mean, obviously. But I then have to decide which hairstyle to go with. Most of Ron's hairstyles are pretty much the same, in the sense that he kind of just has a mop on his head, but the style still changes. And so I ended up kind of going with a combination of his different hairstyles. I was mainly inspired by, I believe it's in the 3rd movie, his hair that kind of looks like it's just like blown back, like I don't know how to describe it. It's either like he just walked through a windstorm, or he kept just like pulling his hair back out of his face and then it just like stood up, you know? For some reason I like that hair, so I was inspired by that, as well as just kind of doing a normal like floofy hairstyle, and that's how he got this. I think it's cute. Let me know what you think. Also, you guys are gonna have to let me know on how well you think I did drawing his shirt and like the folds, because clothing folds are just the bane of my existence. I don't know why, but my brain just doesn't understand why material folds the way that it does. But I think it turned out pretty good, so you're gonna have to let me know. Is it like an epic fail, or is it passable? Random side note, you know how I put like eye shines in the character's eyes? I usually do it near the end, and it's just like 2 little white dots. They're not fully white, they're the eye color changed to being just like almost white of that color, so like an extremely light blue for any character with blue eyes, that sort of thing. So I've been doing that for a long time, but I just recently realized that I've been lowering the opacity on that layer, making that like little eye shine a little bit more like see-through basically. But like most of my old art doesn't have that, and I'm so confused of just like why I randomly started doing it, because I have no memory of making that change purposefully. I just like was subconsciously doing it like I had always done it. Like, oh yeah, this is how I always shade eyes. But apparently not. And so when I realized that I hadn't always done it, I saw an old picture and I was like, what? Since when did I change? The weirdest part is that I feel like I remember doing it on my other pictures too, so it's so weird and random. Anyways, seamless transition. I love the Weasleys. Just the whole family. I don't know what it is about them. I just like want to be a part of that family. Not necessarily like actually one of their kids, but more of like Harry was just kind of adopted in. I want to be adopted into their family. Even though we don't get a ton of time with all of the characters, I like them for some reason. It's inexcribable. Wait, that's not a word. It's inexplainable and undescribable. It's like my unexplainable love of Fred and George, but like less so. And for an entire family. Maybe I just have a thing for redheads. Your guess is as good as mine, but as you can see, I just added Ron's freckles, which isn't really something that the actor has, surprisingly, despite the fact that he is actually a redhead, which I was surprised about. The fact that he was a redhead, not the fact that he didn't have freckles, because there are redheads without freckles, but for some reason, I didn't think he did have red hair. Either I thought that it was just like too good to be true that they found an actor who was like perfect to play Ron and had actual red hair, or it had to do with the color of his hair was just like too much of a perfect like orangey color that it didn't look real. But he does have blonde eyelashes, which is definitely a fair-haired trait. Now I was trying to make my drawing look reminiscent of the actual actor who played the character, and like I just mentioned, he doesn't really have freckles, but I liked the way it looked, okay? I like freckles and I thought they were cute and I just wanted to add them. And I just feel like, you know, Ron would have freckles. Everything else about the actor was perfect for Ron, except I just think Ron would have more freckles. I also added some light freckles to the twins as well, even though they don't really have freckles and they're also not actual redheads in real life. I just think it's cute, and so that's the one exception I made. But everything else I really tried to make look like the actual actors who played the characters. But when I add the freckles, as you saw, I just kind of like dotted them on because I liked the way that looked on my sketch, but then I ended up thinking that it just didn't look good in the actual picture for some reason, so I off-screen got rid of those freckles, and then I went and I added the freckles with the method that I've been doing, which is actually kind of new. Basically, I take one of the brushes, I think it's Star 2, and then I put them over the face. It does leave little freckles that are shaped like stars, which is kind of funny, but you can't really see it from far away, and I've tried kind of blurring it out to make it less obvious that it's stars, but I don't really like the way that looks because it just looks weirdly blurry and just like there are weird blurry dots on the face, so I usually leave it mostly just kind of normal, so they have little stars on their face, which I think is cute. And like I did with the other pictures, I added like objects surrounding them that basically you'd like associate with the character or that sort of thing, which just seems to get harder every time. I don't know if it's just me and I like can't think of things or what, but Ron's was the hardest one yet. I did the Gryffindor symbol, which is just the exact same as I did with the twins. And then I added a spider because we all know how much Ron hates spiders. One of my favorite lines of his is just the, "Why did it have to be spiders? Why couldn't it have been follow the butterflies?" The way he says it is just, he is so sad that they're following spiders. I love it. Then I also added the one Horcrux that he is the one who destroys. At least I tried to. I don't really like the way it turned out, but we won't talk about that. And then I also added Scabbers because we all know how much Ron just like loved that rat in the first like 2 movies, which is super creepy that it turned out to be a creepy old guy. But I actually like the way he turned out. It's kind of a cute little rat, and he's like sitting on the banner. I actually do think rats are cute, but like that one is not cute. It's a creepy guy. And as you can see in the picture, I originally had them arranged this way because I was planning on adding like one more thing, but I just couldn't think of anything, so I rearranged everything at the end to make it like fit better and make more sense with the less stuff. But if you think of anything, let me know and I will see about adding it to the picture. Obviously, it'll be after this video goes up, but if I do use any suggestions, I will be sure to make a community tab showing the updated version and giving credit to that person. So I hope you like this picture. Give this video a like if you like Ron as much as I do, and be sure to subscribe for more art and Harry Potter content. Be sure to comment below if you have any suggestions for things you'd like to see me draw, and thanks for watching!
The Stockholm lights.